A big welcome to today's video where we're going to head up to Cumbria to see Lake Windermere before heading to Lancashire, to fly around all the hills on a motorbike before heading to Lancaster Castle and then travelling around on my uncle's canal boat. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did. Some interesting facts about Lancashire. It was established in 1183 as a population of only 1.5 million. The county covers an area of 3,075 square kilometres, making it one of the largest shire counties. The mill towns of Blackburn and Burnley were the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. Bolton is the largest town in Britain with a population of 260,000. So if you grew up in the UK, at some point you probably went on holiday to sunny old Blackpool. On the seafront you've got all the arcades, you've got the beach, the donkeys and Pleasure Beach, which is like a mini theme park. It used to have the highest roller coaster in the world, but I think shortly after it was completed another one opened in America which was higher. Another interesting fact about Lancashire is that the first passenger railway opened in 1830 between Manchester and Liverpool. Sirloin beef is said to get its name after a visit by James I to Hogturn Tower near Preston, where he enjoyed a piece of beef so much that he knighted it. So this beautiful farm is where my friend Nathan lives, and this is him riding the bike at the moment. He's a lot better than I am on the bike. You'll see in a couple of minutes time a guy in a black jacket trickling along at about 2 miles an hour trying not to fall off. That's me, but yeah, maybe with a bit of practice I can get up to Nathan's standard. But all the same, I thank you Nathan for letting me have a go on your bike and showing me around the farm. Growing up in the UK, I always found our history classes at school fascinating. For hundreds of years, there were bloody battles between different clans, factions and counties, quite similar to the Game of Thrones TV show. One of the most famous rivalries was between the House of Lancaster and the House of York in what is now called the War of the Roses. Your average commoner like me would be required by law to take up arms or a pitchfork or whatever was near and march across fields like this in armies of tens of thousands strong to a horrendous bloody battle so the local lords could be crowned king of the country or simply just have an inflated ego because he defeated his local rival. Pretty gruesome times. Whenever you see a beautiful place, it will always be described as God's country, but I think Lancashire actually is. It's absolutely stunning. I wish I spent more time up here over the years. I was always put off by the 4 or 5 hour drive up from where I'm from in Gloucestershire, but it is absolutely stunning up here, especially the Lake District. In the last few years I've sort of got a bit more into walking, probably shows my age, and I googled best walks in the UK and I think like 6 of the top 10 were around the Lake District. So from Lancaster you can get a $2 bus journey which has all your USBs and all your phone charge and things, very modern. On the, I think it's about a 2 hour trip, 1.5 hours to Windermere, which is the little town next to Lake Windermere, which is where we're heading to next. Lake Windermere is one of the UK's best walking spots. It's frequently visited by royalty and it's the UK's largest lake. The child's author, Beatrix Potter, this was her favourite place and she would buy as many properties and land around the lake to protect it from getting overdeveloped. She even married a local estate agent and he would warn her if anyone wanted to buy one of the local houses and redevelop it, and then she would put in a higher offer so that she would buy the property to prevent it getting too developed. And when she died, she actually left all her houses and all the land to the UK government so that regular people like myself can visit the lake. Living away from the UK for about 15 years, I've really come to learn to appreciate the beauty of my home country and also all the historical buildings and castles. So this castle here, Lancaster Castle, was built I think 1265 AD, so over 750 years ago. It's actually owned by King Charles III, and in 2011 it was actually a prison. You can travel around by bus, by motorbike, by car, but what is the most fun way to travel around Lancaster? Welcome to Lancaster, and a big welcome to my uncle's canal boat. When my uncle decided to get a canal boat, I was like, yes, I'm coming to check this out, and it did not disappoint. His canal boat is literally the coolest thing ever. There's a really nice community of people who live along the river on the canal boats, and it's just a really fun way to get around the city. By the middle of the 18th century, Lancaster was a prosperous town and port, a main route between the old and new worlds. Goods from Lancashire and Yorkshire left the port en route to the developing Americas. As ships grew in size, they had difficulties navigating the tricky Lune estuary, whilst to the south the port of Liverpool was growing in popularity. In an attempt to save the ports of Lancaster and Meerthorpe, merchants came up with a plan for a canal starting at Kendal, running due south to Preston, where it would link up to further south with the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. This would provide a direct link between Lancaster and Liverpool. But due to the lack of support, the original plan was stalled until 1790. John Rennie was asked to resurvey and come up with a plan to run due south to Preston, then south east through Chorley and Wigan to West Thornton. Rennie based this proposed route not only on trade with the Americas, but also on coal from South Lancashire and limestone from the quarries around Kendal and Meerthorpe. The proposals found favour and work began in 1792. By the turn of the century, a southern section from Wigan to Walton Summit and a northern section from Preston to Whitfield had been constructed. The two sections were linked over the River Riddle by a tramway. The Lancashire Canal was only recently connected to the National Waterway via the Ribble link in 2002. So its length is 41 miles of lock-free cruising, which is the longest stretch in the country. As the canal is naturally level, it also lends itself to gentle walking, cycling, as well as canoeing and other outdoor activities. The Lancaster Canal is a shallow draft waterway, meaning typically the average depth is between 4 and 5 metres at the very most, with some sections quite a bit shallower in places. So what we're coming up to is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's called the Lune Aqueduct. So this grade 1 iconic aqueduct should be one of our 7 wonders of the waterways. It's a masterpiece of civil engineering. It's 202 metres long. It carries Lancaster Canal 16 metres or 53 feet above the River Lune. It was designed by John Rennie and constructed by Alexander Stevens in 1797. The aqueduct consists of 5 21-metre semicircle arches, all of which delivers picture postcard views across the Lune Valley in Lancashire. I'd really recommend a trip to the north of England. You've got the beautiful canals, you've got Lancaster city centre with all its history and the castle, all the beautiful old buildings. You've got Morecambe, you've got Blackpool with the pleasure beach. Then you can head up to the Lake Districts. There's so many lakes with fantastic walks. You can head over to Yorkshire. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the world, highly recommended. I just want to thank my uncle for making it such a memorable trip for me. Thank you, Uncle John.